Welcome back, everyone. We really like to get our hands dirty with the real deal sources around here.
Yeah.
And coming off of our last deep dive into the Gupta Empire,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I bet a lot of you are still thinking about that incredible figure, Aryabhata.
Oh, for sure. He's really a titan,
Yes.
in intellectual history,
Absolutely.
and particularly for kind of a global history of math and science.
And I think one of the best ways to really get a feel for someone like that
Yeah.
is to go straight to the source.
Absolutely.
So that's what we're doing today.
That's right.
We're diving into Aryabhata's Aryabhatiya.
That's it. And, we could spend a lot of time on this text.
Yeah.
But we're going to focus on something very specific.
Okay.
What we're going to do is we're going to turn right to the beginning,
Right.
to the first section, the very first section of this incredible work. And that first section is known as the Daśagītikā.
Okay, the Daśagītikā. And break that down for me a little bit.
Yeah, so the Daśagītikā literally translates to 10-verse song.
10-verse song. Okay.
And you might think, well, 10 verses easy peasy.
Right, exactly.
That's not too bad.
Like 10 bullet points.
But here's the thing. Scholars, they count it a little bit differently.
Okay.
And it's generally counted as 13 verses.
13. Okay, so we're getting a little bonus material.
That's right. And the reason why is because the opening invocation, which really kind of sets the philosophical stage.
Right, sets the tone.
Sets the tone, and some of the foundational trigonometrical elements are often included as part of that.
So it's like 13 essential elements that we need to lay the groundwork for the rest of the text.
That's it. It's like the foundation.
Okay.
You're laying the cornerstone of a huge building.
Gotcha.
And these 13 verses, they are the bedrock for Aryabhata's entire cosmic system.
All right, so these aren't throwaway verses. These are crucial to understanding everything that follows.
You got it.
So these 13 verses, what else is really cool about them or notable about them?
Well, one of the fascinating things is the structure.
Okay.
They're composed in a poetic meter called gīti.
E.T.
Now, this is really interesting because you have to remember we're talking about 499 CE
Right.
when Aryabhata is writing
Any
this.
printing presses.
No printing presses.
Right.
So knowledge was often passed down orally.
Mm-hmm.
And this gīti meter, it has these specific rhythmic patterns. And I think it's very likely that it was chosen specifically to aid memorization and accurate recitation.
So it's almost like a mnemonic device in a way.
Absolutely. Think about trying to remember all this astronomical data,
Yeah.
this complex information.
It'd be so hard.
It would be so hard. But if you have this rhythmic structure,
Yeah.
it's almost like a built-in cheat sheet.
Right. Or like a song you could sing.
Exactly. You can almost picture students chanting these verses, really embedding this information in their minds through the rhythm and sound.
And so, I know you mentioned that it's 499 CE.
Right.
And this is being written down.
Yeah.
So it's not just some casual observation of the sky or
Yeah.
a couple of, fun facts that he's jotting down.
No, this was a really bold declaration about the order of the cosmos.
Okay.
Right? It was a fascinating intersection, I think, between careful observation, advanced mathematics, and the cosmological understanding of that time.
So it was a real statement, a real, thesis statement almost.
Absolutely. He wasn't just trying to describe what he saw in the sky.
Yeah.
He was trying to encode the underlying patterns that governed it.
So he's looking for the mathematical rules behind everything.
Exactly.
Fascinating. So we've got these opening verses, and we know they're not just, a casual intro.
Right.
So what is he trying to achieve with them, particularly in the Daśagītikā?
He's trying to lay out the foundation for a whole system,
Okay.
to explain the movements of the heavens, the structure of the cosmos.
So he's not just describing, he's trying to explain the underlying mechanisms almost.
Exactly. And to do that, he needs to lay out his methodology,
Okay.
his approach. And that's really what you find in this Daśagītikā.
Gotcha. And that brings us to the very first verse.
Yeah.
Gītikā, verse 1.
Verse 1.
And I think it's really worth looking at in the original Sanskrit because there's a certain power to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So here it is. Prajapikara anek kasade devata para Brahma.
It's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful. And the English translation, I think, really captures the weight of it as well.
Yeah, so it translates as, having paid respectful obeisance to Ka, often identified with Brahma or Prajapati, the creator, the one ekam, and the many anekam, the true divinity, Satya Devatam, the supreme Brahman, Parabrahma.
Wow. And just that opening word, pratika.
Wow.
There seems to be a lot packed into that single term.
There is a lot packed in there. And even, a later commentator, Bhāskara, centuries after Aryabhata, he emphasized the significance of that prefix, pra.
Okay.
It wasn't just a simple bowing. It was something much deeper.
So deeper reverence.
Yeah, a deep intensity and excellence in that act of reverence.
So it was really like a full prostration before the vastness of everything.
Exactly. And I think it highlights that Aryabhata isn't just giving a nod to the divine.
Right.
This is like a deep prostration before the vastness of the cosmos and the monumental task he's undertaking.
Which is
to unlock its secrets.
To unlock the secrets of the cosmos.
Yeah, the mathematical secrets of the cosmos.
Yeah, I mean, what a task to set out for yourself.
Yeah, it's incredible. And then in that opening line, you encounter some really fundamental concepts of Indian philosophy.
Okay, let's break down some of those key terms for a moment.
Here.
So first we have Ka, which is often linked to Brahma or Prajapati.
Right.
The creator deity. So this is the power that brings the universe into existence.
Exactly, the source of creation.
Right.
And then we have ekam, which translates to the one, and is often associated with Brahman, which is that ultimate, undifferentiated reality.
Okay.
The singular source from which everything emanates.
Okay.
And then right alongside that, we have anekam and many, which represents the diverse observable universe.
So everything we see and experience.
Right, exactly. All the multiplicity that you see around you.
So the singular source becomes the multitude of phenomena.
Right. And that relationship between the one and the many is such a crucial concept in Indian philosophy.
Absolutely.
And then encompassing both of those ideas is Parabrahma, the supreme transcendent absolute.
Okay.
So it's that ultimate reality that holds both the unity,
the
ekam, and the diversity,
the anekam.
The anekam within it.
So it's like the container for everything.
It's the ground of all being.
Wow. Okay. So he's really setting us up with some pretty big ideas.
He is, and I think, by beginning his work in this way, he's grounding his scientific endeavors in this grand cosmological framework.
Right. So he's suggesting that the universe, with all its complexity, all its variety, the anekam,
the icon,
ultimately comes from a single unified source.
The
ekam.
Yeah.
And that's what his math and his geometry are trying to model.
Exactly. It's like he's acknowledging the ultimate origin before diving into the specifics.
Right. So he's setting the stage.
Setting a stage.
Right. So then after this kind of powerful invocation, the verse takes a turn.
It does. It shifts to Aryabhata himself.
Okay.
And his intentions.
All right, let's hear it.
Yeah. So the second half of the verse goes, Aryabhata trita gadati gachta kālakriyā golam.
All right, and the English translation of that.
Aryabhata sets forth three things: mathematics, gatipat, the reckoning of time, kālakriyās, and the sphere.
Okay, and I love how direct that is.
Yeah.
Aryabhata sets forth.
He's claiming authorship.
Right. And he's outlining the core components of his work.
Right, the three things.
The three things.
So gīti, kālakriyā, and gola.
That's right. Those three things are the backbone of the Aryabhatiya.
All right, so let's break down these three things a little bit.
Let's do it.
So gīti, we can translate that as mathematics.
Right.
But it's not just, 2 + 2.
No, it's much broader than that.
Right.
Gaṇita is like this comprehensive term. It encompasses all the mathematical tools that he's going to need for astronomical inquiry.
So arithmetic, algebra, geometry?
Yeah, all of that.
Okay.
And crucially, trigonometry.
Trigonometry, because
you need that for calculating angles and distances within the celestial sphere.
Okay, so that's gāchita.
That's Gaṇita.
All right, then we have kālakriyā.
Kālakriyā.
The reckoning of time.
Right.
And I'm guessing that's a lot more complex than just checking a sundial.
Oh, yeah, it's so much more than that.
Right.
Kālakriyā refers to the entire system of time measurement, from the tiniest units like moments all the way up to vast cosmic cycles.
Wow.
Things like yugas and kalpas.
So from micro to macro timescales.
Exactly. And it also includes the methods for calculating the positions of planets and celestial bodies as they change over time.
So not just how we measure time, but how things move within time.
Precisely. So it's about understanding the cyclical nature of time and using that to predict astronomical events.
Wow, fascinating.
And then the last one, gola,
gola?
Gola literally means the sphere.
Okay.
And it refers to spherical astronomy.
So the celestial sphere itself.
Exactly.
Okay.
And how objects move upon it.
So orbits, eclipses,
All of that.
tapping the stars and planets.
That's right. It's about applying mathematical principles to the three-dimensional geometry of the heavens.
So it really is about the sphere of the heavens.
Exactly.
Okay.
The celestial sphere.
So we have gaṇita, the math,
Yeah.
kālakriyā, the time reckoning,
Right.
and gola, the sphere.
And those are the three things that he sets forth.
Exactly. And you can see how they're all connected. They really work together as a unified whole.
Right. So gaṇita gives you the tools.
Right.
Kālakriyā gives you the framework to understand change over time.
Yeah.
And gola gives you the spatial model of the cosmos.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that around this time, 500 CE, astronomy wasn't a purely scientific pursuit in the way we might think about it today.
Right.
It was really tied up with religious ritual, with the calendar,
Right.
and with broader cosmological beliefs.
Yeah.
So it was really connected to how people understood the universe and their place in it.
So it's not just, an academic exercise.
No, not at all.
Right. It's about understanding how the universe works and how we fit into it.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
And that makes Aryabhata's opening verse even more significant, I think.
Okay, how so?
Well, he starts by acknowledging the prevailing worldview.
Right. With that invocation.
Yes, with that invocation to the divine. Yeah.
But then he pivots immediately to this rational and systematic methodology.
Right.
Rooted in mathematics.
So he's kind of bridging two ways of thinking.
Yeah, it's like he's saying, look, we can honor the divine origin, but we can also study the cosmos in a rigorous mathematical way.
So he's kind of unifying the sacred and the scientific.
Exactly.
Interesting. So just in this very first verse of the Daśagītikā,
Yeah,
he's laying the groundwork for everything that's to come.
absolutely.
And it's really a remarkable synthesis of these different ways of knowing.
It is.
So he starts by offering respect
Right.
to the divine
origin.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he outlines these three core pillars of his work.
Yeah, the gaṇita, the kālakriyā, the gola.
Yeah. And he's basically saying, this mathematical investigation isn't just a technical exercise.
Right.
It's a path to understanding the inherent order of the universe.
It's a spiritual path.
It's a spiritual path. Even
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So he's offered this deep respect. He's outlined these three pillars. He's ready to go.
he's ready to delve into the specifics of
Good.
his system.
And where does he go next in this text?
Well, he goes to the very heart of what you might call the ancient code.
Okay.
We're going to explore verse 2 of the Daśagītikā.
Okay.
And in this verse, he introduces this really ingenious system
Okay.
for using Sanskrit letters to represent large numbers.
Sanskrit letters to represent numbers.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
It's this brilliant system, and it was absolutely essential
Okay.
for his astronomical calculations.
So this is how he's able to deal with those vast distances and timescales.
Exactly, because you need a way to represent those huge numbers.
Right.
And he found a really elegant way to do it.
Using the Sanskrit language.
Using the Sanskrit language.
Wow, okay. Well, I can't wait to dive into that.
Yeah, me too.
But that we'll have to wait for our next deep dive. But for now, let's just take a moment to kind of recap what we've covered
Yeah.
in this amazing first verse.
Yeah, this first verse of the Daśagītikā.
So we see how Aryabhata starts by anchoring his whole scientific framework
Yeah.
in this profound invocation. And he's really bridging cosmology
Right.
with a very rigorous mathematical methodology.
And it really makes you think
It does.
about how ancient thinkers approached the universe. They weren't afraid to integrate these seemingly disparate domains.
Right, like spirituality and math.
Exactly.
And they saw them as part of the same pursuit of knowledge.
And I think that offers us a really different perspective
Yeah.
on how we create and understand knowledge today.
Absolutely. And as we look ahead to this groundbreaking use of Sanskrit
Yeah.
to represent numbers,
Mm-hmm.
it's just amazing to think about
It is.
the sheer ingenuity that must have taken.
Yeah, to develop a system that could handle the immense scales of astronomy. And that system has profound implications for how he and those who followed him were able to perform these really intricate calculations.
Well, we will definitely be unpacking all of that for you in our next deep dive.
We will.
Until then, keep exploring the depths of knowledge.
Yeah, keep exploring.
And we'll see you next time.
See you then.
Welcome back, everyone. We really like to get